Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're here outside the Grand Tetons National Park in Wyoming. And we've been on a long family road trip, and we've played a few games along the way to keep ourselves from going insane. And we're taking a little break here, and you can see Jocelyn and Liam are painting, doing some watercolorings of the Tetons. Caleb's just chilling out in the car, having a little time to himself. And I think it's a good time for us to talk about the games that have helped us get through this 5,000-mile road trip we've been on. Probably the most popular of all the road trip games is the license plate game. This is where you list all 50 states and you try to get all 50 states license plates. So you're looking and you're seeing, is it Illinois, is there Hawaii, is there Georgia? The toughest ones we find are Hawaii, Alaska, and then like Vermont, New Hampshire. A lot of times we'll find a random Rhode Island here and there, but those are the tough ones to get. And one thing that's nice is you can have your kids write out the things or have them practice their state song, you know, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, la la la. Have them write that all down, check them off as you go. And it's funny because nowadays actually Jocelyn and I are more psychotic about it. Though the boys will sometimes, we get to parking lots like here in the Grand Tetons, you have a lot of tourists, they'll walk around and be like, is there a Rhode Island here? Because we still need Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Vermont right now, okay? We've gotten everything else. So that's the first one, the license plate game. The second one is I Spy. You know, I spy with my little eye something green. You're like, oh, the tree's there? Well, which tree, right? Or is it the grass? Or I spy something white. You're like, oh, is it that plane up there flying? Yeah, you got it. And so the I Spy game, also super popular. Now, another one that is a little bit more kind of brain usagey, I would say, is the alphabet game. And the alphabet game has a lot of different variations, but what you're doing is each person in the car has a letter. So I would be A, I'd say A apple, and then Jocelyn would say B banana, and then, or she'd have to go A apple, then B banana. Caleb would be C, so we'd say A apple, B banana, C kumquat, or whatever, you know, and you could have different themes. And as you go around, you get all the letters, it's kind of like a competition. Oh, what was the T? What was the Q? And so you can do different versions of it. So we travel a lot. So we actually do is we do the destination version of it. So it's, you know, A, Atlanta, B, Baltimore, C, Cancun, D, Denver, E, you know, and you go down. And remember, X, Xi'an in China, where the Terracotta Warriors are, that's your X. Q, Quincy, or Quincy in Massachusetts, Quincy in Illinois, that can help you out there, okay? So you have the alphabet game and all its different iterations. Now, the next one you have, which is also more of a brain teaser one, is 20 questions. Someone thinks of something and they can think of anything, and people have 20 questions to figure out what is it in there, right? Is it a person? Is it a place? Is it a thing? Is it a food? And you have one by one, you go through the questions to figure out what it is. And the winner, well, is the person who guesses it in the end, okay? And this is kind of a fun one with little kids. I find it gets kind of easy for adults because when they're in the dinosaur phase, you're like, is it a dinosaur? Yes, and then you can kind of narrow it down from there. When it gets older, it can be a little more complicated. Like we had one, what was a supernova. I'm like, that one we did not quite get right away. But the 20 question game is a nice fun one to do. It also takes a lot of time too. Now, another one that's kind of fun is the tell a story game. And what you do in this one is everyone gets a sentence of a story and you just kind of continue it. So I would say, you know, once upon a time, there was a guy named Mark. And then Liam would say, and he had massive diarrhea. And then you're like, oh, and then Caleb would go, and no one liked him. And then Josh would say, but someone still did talk to him from very distance. And you kind of go around and make the story as you go around. And it's a fun, like, family thing to do. It takes up some time and keeps you occupied for a while. And then the last one I want to talk about, and there's a lot more out there, but the last one I want to talk about is the restaurant game or the fast food game. And what you do in this one is everybody picks a fast food chain and you have to count how many of that fast food chain do you see on your trip or during that day or whatever, okay? Now, you can make it so you're like, no, you can't use McDonald's. There's too many of those or something like that. But what's cool is when you travel around the U.S., there's different regions that have more of it. So if you're on the West Coast, maybe you want to pick the In-N-Out Burger. If you're in the Midwest, maybe you pick that Culver's, right? Or if you're in the Southeast, maybe you go for the Cracker Barrel, right? Or the Waffle House. And so you have these different things you see, whether it's on a sign or you see an advertisement for it, or you actually see one when you go by, you kind of count that up, and the person who has the most at the end of the day wins. So I hope these little fun road trip games can help make your trip a little bit less hair-raising with the family. I know these are the games that we play, and they do get us through a few hours, especially when you're going through Nebraska, which is 7 hours from one end to another end. You can watch Jocelyn's video on that, but they do help pass the time. So I wish you a great road trip wherever you're going to go, whether you're going to visit beautiful places like the Grand Teton National Park here, or you're heading down south to Florida, or wherever. I wish you all the best. And bye from here in Wyoming.